I was taking Russian classes at Florida State. I thought they were Spanish classes because I thought they were Spanish classes because it was a noon class and I signed up and then I was like, fucking sweet, Spanish at noon? I could phone that in. And then I get there and they start writing in a new language, a new alphabet, and I'm like, all right, this clearly isn't Spanish. So then I said I'm going to leave, and the teacher's like, listen, don't leave, because if you leave, we can't have a class and I can't get my master's degree. So, but if you stick around, I'll talk to you after the class. I get done the end of the class. She's like, listen, don't, if you don't leave and I won't, and just show up at class, I'll give you a C. I was like, done. So I took Russian. I took Russian 1, 2, and 3. Finally, I take Russian 4, and we go to Russia. But this is Russia like when the mob ran Russia. So when going over to Russia, you had to literally pay off the mob in order to go and study abroad. So we paid off the mob, and they gave us in return 2 banditos, 2 young mobsters who would go everywhere with us. They lived in our hotel. They stayed with us. They went on tours with us. They did everything with us. Their names were Igor and Sasha. And when we got there, our teacher was like, listen, this is Igor and Sasha. They will be ghosting us. With my teacher, who was there with me, was like, they're in the fucking mob.
Igor and Sasha. It's like a gay guy named Bruce.
And they were oh, it gets worse. So they're like, listen, whatever you do to our class, do not talk to them. Do not interact with them.
Oh my God.
Do not engage them. They are only here to shadow us. So in my head, I'm like, fucking get to know these guys, right? Like, get a bottle of vodka, a 6-pack of Baltica, knock on their door. Now, mind you, I speak no Russian at the time. No Russian, because I'd never studied in any of the classes. So first night there, I knock on Igor and Sasha's room, and they're having a party in there. Like, fucking all their friends are in their room. They lived right next to me, and Kendra, my teacher, lived across the hall from Igor. So I knock on their door. Igor opens the door, and he looks like a fucking thug. He's got like a wife beater on, a cigarette, a beer, and he just looks at me in Russian and just goes, "Что?" And now, the second he says that, I start panicking. All the phrases I had in my head that I was trying to say all disappear, and all I say to Igor in Russian is, "I am the machine."
What is it? How do you say that?
Ya machinu. And so, but I just said, "Ya machinu," and he went, "Что?" And now I don't know what I've said. I'm like, what did I just say? I'll fuck you up? Like, and I go, "I am the machine." And he goes, "Say it again." I said, "I'm the machine." And then he starts laughing, and he brings me into the room. He's like, "Hold on, say it again." And so I say it to the room. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm like, "I'm the machine." And they're like, "You're the machine." I'm like, "I'm the machine." I said that all fucking night with these guys. That's the only communication we had, is I said, "I'm the machine." And Igor and Sasha and I became best friends, right? We did everything together. If we went on a field trip, they would tell me, "Machine, you don't need to go on the field trips. Come drink with us." So now, cut to one day, we have to take a train to Moscow. Now, a different mob ran the train to Moscow, and a different mob ran Moscow. And Igor and Sasha were not allowed to cross boundaries. And they told me, they said, "Listen, we're not going to go with you, but we've taken care of you. We've talked to the mobsters on the train and in Moscow." Because we had to pay them too. They had to follow our
they
class.
weren't allowed to come with you.
They weren't allowed to come with us.
Because it's a different mob.
And we're paying a different mob now to protect us on the train.
Wow.
We're paying a different mob to protect us in Moscow.
Holy shit.
So they said, "We've taken care of it, don't worry about it." So they take me to the train, and they introduced me to our 2 new gangsters, Igor and Igor. And
what? Double Igors.
I swear to you.
3 Igors out of 4 dudes.
Igor and Igor. There's not a lot of names in Russia. It's Alex, Igor, or Sasha.
What about Fyodor?
So Igor and Igor's... My Igor says to these Igors, "This is the machine. If you give him alcohol, you'll have a great time." So Igor and Igor are like through the roof. They're like, "Awesome. Don't worry. We've taken care of you. We're sitting in first class. You're not sitting with your class. You're sitting in first class to Moscow." And I'm like, holy shit, this is what I'm talking about. And I bring another guy, John Bolshoi, Big John. I bring him with me to go sit in first class. And sure enough, man, we're in fucking first class. Just me, these 2 Igors, John, the conductor, I shit you not, the conductor, before the train takes off, comes into the room, I swear to you, rips off the band on his thing, says, "This is a present for the machine. It would be an honor to do a shot with you." And I'm like, oh, this is fucking right. So I do a shot with the conductor, and we pound this vodka within like fucking 30, 45 minutes. We're done all the vodka in the room.
Whoa.
We're drinking hard. And my class is all on coach, and I'm sitting in first class. And Igor are like, "Let's go get more vodka." And I'm like, done. These guys run the fucking train. So we get up, we walk into the bar cart, and Big Igor says, "Machine, grab a bottle of, grab some bread, Kleb." And I'm like, "That's bread. I'm understanding Russian." He's like, "Grab some syrup, that's cheese." I'm like, I'm learning Russian. I'm looking at John, who's standing behind me. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Grab vodka." I go, "I know that one." And he's like, "Grab all the money, grab all the rubles." And I go, "What?" I look around, and we're robbing the bar cart.
What?
The bartender's standing like this, everyone's standing against the wall, and I'm sitting behind the bar with a handful of rubles, a bottle of vodka, and a thing of bread going, holy fuck. John looks at me and he's like, just take it, let's go. Take all the fucking cash out of the bar cart.
And what is the bartender doing?
Not making eye contact. And they're passing
Everyone just lets it happen.
It's the mob. They ran everything in Russia. Everything.
Wow.
And so we get done and we go back to our room and it's a totally different energy. Very sketchy, you know? And
Are you freaked out now?
I'm freaked out because I'm like, fuck, I just robbed the car. Like, no one else saw anyone rob the bar car except for me. And my teacher, Val, who's at the time was our chaperone, didn't speak any Russian. She comes to our first class cart, opens the door, and says, I need to talk to you right now. And I was like, listen. And she goes, I told you that you're in big trouble. Your classmates have told me what happened. Big Igor takes a sip of vodka, spits in her eyes, and goes, no one talks to the machine like that. I'm like,
whoa, he spit vodka in her eyes?
And fucking it is. And then shuts the door and then looks at me and he says, don't worry, I got you. When it gets dark, we're going to have a lot of fun. And he pulls out a thing of keys. He's got keys to the whole fucking train. He's like, we're going to rob everyone when it gets dark. Now I'm like, fuck, what did I get myself into?
God.
Like, this is bad news. Bad fucking news. So it gets dark, and sure enough, man, we start robbing the train. Go through my class first, and we'd fucking open the door. Little Igor would crawl in, pull the bags out. John and I would go through them and try not to steal, like, anything important. And Big Igor would stand guard, and if anyone woke up, he'd take a sip of vodka and spit it in their face.
What?
And it was, I mean, it's sketchy. Now it's sketchy. It's not even fun.
Are these guys armed?
No. They're loaded, though. They're hammered, pissed drunk. We robbed my whole class, and then they end up taking off and going into the car, and me and John are sitting in the first class car just thinking, we're fucked, man, we're fucked. We robbed the train, we've robbed the bar cart, and they come back and they're just fucking angry drunk, like pissed angry drunk. We pull into Moscow, and my teacher Val comes to the door, opens it, and said, I'm just letting you know we've called the police. So I was like, fuck. So Igor and Igor are like, fuck it, don't worry, fuck the police, this is Russia. Who the fuck does she think she is? This isn't America, this is Russia. We run everything. I'm like, ugh, I'm gonna fucking go to the gulag. Sure enough, man, the cops are sitting on the middle, like the middle, you know, where people get off the train, that little receiving area. My class is sitting there. My whole class are in the pajamas. They're crying. Their bags have been gone through. They're fucking giving statements to the cops, and the cops are writing them down. And I'm sitting with Igor and John in the fucking cart, and they're just still drinking and smoking. And they're like, fuck this, we'll take care of this right now. They walk outside, out to the cops, and start yelling at the cops. And I'm like, motherfucker, this is not how I would have taken care of this. Just, I don't even know what they're saying, but they're just shouting, and the cops are shouting back. And then finally Big Igor just starts pointing at me. And I'm like, oh, he's pinning this whole fucking thing on me? Like, I'm going down for the whole thing? And then the cop starts pointing at me and telling me, Zdez, pойдем, or whatever he's saying. Come here, right now. So I fucking walk out, and it's that moment where you find the hash on your body. You know, they find it, and you're going to jail forever. That's that moment, that walk, where your asshole gets cold, and you're like, this is it.
Midnight Express.
Fucking, that's the moment. And I walk all the way across this little fucking trail to get to him. I get right up to the cop, and the cop looks at me, and he goes, I understand you're the machine. I was like, yeah. And he goes, tonight you party with us. I was like,
what?
All right. So then we went out and partied with these cops.
So the cops did nothing.
Fucking nothing. They were so excited to meet the machine.